Welcome, Niner fam. This is Peter Lucas, and this is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Thank you for coming in and watching today. And I've got with me today my man Snoogans from Twitter. You've seen him on my show before. I'm really happy to have him here today because we're getting closer and closer to the season, and it's mini camp time for the 49ers. But Snoogans, why don't you tell them where they can find you on the socials?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can, as you mentioned, you can find me on Twitter at Snoogans 2434. Pretty much the main platform that I use. So hit me up there.
Yeah, and Snoogans has a show he does like every morning with right now, especially for NBA, like the NBA Now with and I can't remember his name, but like
with JB Fortis, yeah, Josh, but he goes by JB. Yeah, every morning from 8 to 9, Monday through Friday. You can find us on Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, like it's an awesome program. It's awesome chance for you to get your voice, let your voice be heard on the Spaces, and tell people how you feeling about the finals that are going on right now. But happy to have Snoogans here to talk some football today. The 49ers, we're in mini camp right now. We went a little bit early. They went a little bit earlier than normal, and I think they kind of wanted to build on the momentum they had in OTAs. And I think that's why Kyle kind of just wanted to keep the continuity going. We had some really, I don't want to say surprising, but I want to say, some like I guess enlightening events happened for like Debo showing up and Nick Bosa. There was some speculation that Nick Bosa might not show up. They both showed up, so all the Twitter Spaces can calm down. All those guys talking all that stuff about he still doesn't want to be there. He was throwing the ball around with Kyle's kid today. So
like, yeah, I saw that with Carter. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so people just need to calm down. But we're going to talk today about what we saw in OTAs and what they said on the interviews yesterday. Was there anything that you saw that was like alarming or like that kind of piqued your interest?
Alarming. I would say some of the things that I was reading maybe about the nickel corner position. That's kind of been a little bit of a like up there so far. So just that because it was kind of a question mark already. We kind of felt Mosley and Ward were kind of penciled in for the two corners. The nickel was up in the air, so interested in that. But something that's watching though is Jennings and Ayuk. What's going on that whole battle and situation?
For sure.
That's interesting to me. I've heard nothing but great things about Jennings. I know Kyle said some great things. I think we're going to touch on it later. But yeah, so that's a little bit of a camp battle that I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that there was a lot of glowing remarks by Kyle, which is really kind of unusual. He really doesn't. He kind of keeps everything kind of close to the vest. And we're going to talk about it later, but I mean, I was really pleasantly surprised by this mini camp and like a lot of the things that he was saying. But we're going to start off with mini camp time. Debo and Nick Bosa, of course, I just mentioned it. They showed up to mini camp, and I think a lot of people that have watched our show kind of already knew that Debo was going to show up just because he doesn't want to give up that $90,000. He's not going to pay a bunch of money every day that he misses camp. Like I think it's a really good sign that they're talking. They're talking. And what was a really good sign is he's talking to his teammates. He's throwing the ball around with Kyle's kid. He's talking to Kyle. Like I don't think that there's any worry about his contract situation at this point. I think the Seahawks need to worry about DK Metcalf, but I don't think the 49ers have to worry at this point. But Nick Bosa came in looking shredded, looking lean, and he said he's in the best shape of his career. Mm-hmm. Are you more surprised that Debo did any kind of physical drills? Because I was kind of surprised that he was running and doing anything.
Sure. Yeah, no, I would say yes to that because kind of like what you said, you almost make an assumption or you assume the player is going to show up eventually because they don't want to get fined, regardless of what their salary is, right? You don't want to lose out on that money. I totally get that. So, but like you said, but then just to show up and then not only you're showing up, but you're partaking in almost the best way that you can, or the way that maybe a vet in a situation would. Because I know some vets, they get the days off and, certain things off, things like that. So, yeah, I was surprised in that. And I think it was I think you said it correct. I think the best way to say this is him showing up mean all of a sudden tomorrow the extension is going to be signed? No, probably not. But is it a step in the right direction? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. I thought that it was a really. I mean, it just looks like a normal mini camp at this
Yeah,
point.
absolutely.
And
Hmm.
they were mentioning, people they keep trying to bring stories up out of nothing. And yesterday, I heard a lot of people, or was it yesterday? I think it might have been the day before. But people
Right.
were talking, actually trying to make a story out of the fact that we didn't have as many people show up to voluntary OTAs. And I think that people need to understand at this point with this 49ers squad
Right.
that we are this is a not just a young team anymore. This is a
Yeah.
veteran team. We're kind of out of COVID at this point as far as football is concerned. And
Fair.
it's just, I think that it's just a way, it just shows that these guys don't need to be, they know the system. It's not a question of they know the system. So they don't need to be there for voluntary workouts and that kind of stuff because there's nothing to catch up on.
No.
And and I think that they were struggling to catch up because you had a lot of young guys that actually ended up playing last season and they didn't get a chance to get involved into the system like right away due to COVID. And but this year is a completely different story, and I didn't think that it was anything. I don't know about you.
No, I agree with everything you said. I mean, I think a really great example of kind of what you just said is when you just mentioned Debo tossing the ball with Kyle's son today. Kind of like it was that free flowing of an atmosphere. I think everybody's loose. I think that may be, as we're going to touch on later, why Kyle might be in kind of the mood that he's in, quote unquote, So, but no, I think everything you said is spot on. I think things are looking good. And I think right now, the fact that there's not really a lot of noise maybe goes to what you just kind of said, why they were trying to look for something to get something out there, But
Yeah, it's just
right
talking.
now, yeah, other than really like roster battles and like, hey, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? There's not a lot of going on. And you know what? In some ways, that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. And seeing Nick Bosa was good. He actually had some glowing remarks about our new kid Drake Jackson. In fact, a couple of people had glowing remarks, even though the reporters kind of said that he hasn't really done anything. Drake Jackson did, but and he actually really was kind of struggling to beat anybody. But the other guys were really kind of saying that he looks good compared to how they looked when they first stepped into training camp, mini camp. So I'm happy that a lot of these players are talking about their teammates and kind of building that rapport because
Yes.
is as much of as good of a core as this team has. There's a lot of new faces.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of new faces, and I think there's a lot of new faces that are actually going to contribute. So it's really good to see them kind of talk to each other, talk about each other, get used to each other, and kind of just build that rapport and build that kind of team aspect. But with Bosa's contract is it's gonna coming. Everybody's expecting it to get done next year.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any kind of chance that they surprise us and all of a sudden it just gets done this year?
I would only lean towards no based on how we generally do things. But maybe, but I would say no. I do think that it's going to be next year, like you just kind of alluded to, especially because he still has 2 years left on it. So yeah, I would say next year.
Yeah, for sure. That's that's the way I look at it. But we got to talk about it because everybody's been, like I said, looking for news bites, and and they even bring up that point. But I don't think that I think it's actually a really good thing that they're grasping for straws at this point because there really is nothing to talk about with the 49ers, like other than what we're seeing in the videos and what we're seeing in their practice tape. So it's and speaking of which, there was a lot of practice tapes for the last couple of days, and afterwards they had yesterday they had interviews with about 4 or 5 of the guys, including Kyle. So like we were talking about earlier, Kyle had high praise for a few of the guys. Do you think he's softening up a little compared to years in the past? How do you feel about it? Because it feels like to me that he's almost like in a good mood, which is weird.
I think no, I do see too, and I kind of feel it and listen, and I think it kind of goes to I think it's a lot of factors. If now, again, this is all just our opinions because I do kind of get the vibe of him kind of being a little more loose or, like you said, more of a good mood. But I think it has to do with a couple of things. I think before, like we mentioned, I think the atmosphere in general, I think the fact that we have a mini camp now and, we kind of have all these new faces and it's kind of I don't want to say a whole brand new era is coming upon, but listen, you mentioned before we have a bunch of brand new faces. Well, guess what else we have? We have a brand new leader as well. So I think with this kind of new chapter starting, even though a lot of the core is there, I think we're kind of in eternally. I think we kind of feel like we're getting past the Jimmy stuff. We're kind of almost at the final stages. He needs to take the physical. Then we know the trader release is coming. Trey's kind of firmly cemented himself as the starter. You know what I'm saying? I just think there's a little bit of pressure maybe off his shoulders with some of this stuff, the season's finally here kind of, I could be a coach now, you know what I'm saying? Type thing. So I think that's a little bit to do with it. And I know this might sound a little bit weird too, but I think a little bit of the McDaniel not being around anymore factor. Maybe he's feeling like he has to kind of be a little more of I don't know, kind of upbeat with the guys like that. Cause that's what a lot of people loved about
That's
McDaniel.
A good point.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
He kind of feels like he has a little bit of right. Some I don't want to say shoes to fill, but you know what I'm saying? Just kind of maybe I need to bring a little bit of what Mike brought to the table since he's not here anymore. And obviously they gravitated him for a reason, So I think combination of all that is why we're getting the Kyle that we're getting so far.
Yeah, you're kind of frozen, Snoogans.
Hey.
I can hear you. Now there you go. You're unfroze.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, no, I didn't really think of it that way. But you're exactly right. It's Mike McDaniel has always been that team guy, the glue guy for the coaches, and it's really that's something that I didn't think about, and it entirely makes sense because Kyle needs that because he's usually the bad guy in those conversations. He's usually the one that has to give the bad news, and it would be good for him to. And I know that he builds relationships with some of these players. He's talked about his relationship with Debo constantly, and so I mean, it's not surprising that he has relationships or that he feels for these players. We just haven't seen that side of him, and honestly, I'm really kind of happy to see that side. I thought of it as that he's more calm because he has his new coaching staff in place. He's probably excited because he actually has a quarterback now that he can give to he can do so many more things.
That's what I'm saying.
And the excitement has got to be palpable for him. I'm excited myself. I know that the 49er fan base is completely excited about it. So it only stands to reason that Kyle, it just has got to be ready to jump out of his shoes to get this season going and to really install what they want to do and see what he can accomplish because they have such a deep team, such a deep squad that he can literally do anything out there, I think, at this point. And it's and kudos to them for building this team the right way and building it through a lot of it through the draft. And they just they have a culture at this point, and it's really kind of good to see him kind of come out of his headspace for once. But so he said Trey's has practiced well. Is he finally QB1? I mean, it's kind of a joke. But we heard multiple players say it in their interviews yesterday that he's QB1, and that Charvarius Ward made a funny comment about it yesterday. Trent Williams said something about him yesterday, and the interview that Trey had yesterday, it really. I mean, I thought it was an excellent interview, but it really shows his comfort level in front of the media. And I think I've talked about this in past shows, but especially it just seems like he gets more and more comfortable. Now, who knows what's going to happen when they lose a game? But right now, I just think that Trey has such a good temperament. He mentioned Brendel, and as if he was going to be fine with him at the center position,
right? Which
I thought was a surprise. Should we be fine with that? That's the question.
And it's a great question, Peter. And I would say right now, the only reason maybe we should be fine with it is because it's early and we don't really have reason to not be okay with it yet, if that makes sense, because we really haven't seen what Brendel can do. We haven't really got enough like reps with him in there yet. And the other thing too, and we had this West kid, the undrafted guy, that I think we're all interested to see how that's going to work out, because he had the potential apparently. Still kind of weird he wasn't drafted, but that's done with now. But so I think that's out there too. Like, hey, is this kid really going to step up? Is he really going to show some promise and things like that? So I think that's why, like, right now, maybe Kyle's acting that way about Brendel, or because like it's not really a major concern yet, because I don't know, because I guess like we don't really have reason yet. Like you said, we're kind of installing some new players, new faces, things like that. So let's get some more reps in and see, oh, okay, now, hey, every time we hike the ball, there's somebody already in Trey's lap. Okay, now we have a problem, So that's why I would say for right now, it's okay.
Yeah. And, they said something interesting on the Locked On podcast, and I listen to them a lot. You'll hear about them a lot on my show. But Croc and BD Peacock were talking about the other day that, when you really look at it, because I think all of us expected them to draft Donovan West or draft another backup center. But when you really look at it, how many teams actually draft a backup center? And they usually, if they're drafting a guy that high, he's going to start. They're drafting them to start. And Kyle notoriously doesn't like starting rookies. So it's kind of that from their perspective, it was kind of wasn't surprising that. And with Donovan West, I guess if you look at his tape, the way they looked at his tape and the way that he was graded, he's solid. He looked solid on tape. But they were saying that because he looks solid as a center prospect, why would they draft him like in the third or fourth round, like to be a backup? Like so, I'm just, I guess they're playing devil's advocate, but it kind of the way they worded it, it kind of made it make sense, and then he fell into their lap as an undrafted free agent, and at that point, yeah, you take a chance. Bring him in, see what you got as a backup, like as an undrafted guy. And they also said that they think he's going to be solid, but now it gives him, being an undrafted free agent and getting a chance to sit behind Brendel, a guy like Brendel, who's been a vet, who's actually a vet. People don't understand that this guy's actually 30 years old and that he was on the Dolphins before us, and he's a vet. Like, and all of the players have been talking about him like he's a vet. Oh, I think we lost Snoogans. Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, got you. So, but what I was saying was, yeah, like, so everybody's talking about Brendel like he's a vet, and they're treating him like he's a vet.
Right.
And it's so with Donovan West is going to get a chance to sit behind him and learn the pro game. They said he already has solid traits. Mm-hmm. He's just not a world beater, and that's probably why he fell, because most teams are not going to be drafting a guy with traits to be a backup center, but that's what he is right now, and so that's why he kind of fell out of the draft. But I'm still excited to get him because I think that he is athletic enough to play the position. I think he has really good traits, and that he is going to it's going to really be good for him to sit for a season, and who knows, he may take over if anything, God forbid, like happens to Brendel. So, right. But yeah, like they're trying to get us excited about Brendel, and it's really kind of hard because I think we all knew he was a backup. He's been released and waived and been on the practice squad, right. And like, it's kind of hard to just say, okay, well, this guy, now he's going to be our starter. Okay, well, I mean, we have this rookie quarterback. What are we doing? But every time Kyle does something like this, it tends to work out for the most part. So I'm just going to trust in Kyle, because every time I think that I know more than Kyle does, he spits in my face. So like, I'm going to trust in Kyle.
Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of like what I was saying, where it's like right now, maybe he's not worrying about it because like maybe it's not an issue for him yet. We're going to see. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed on Brendel if it's going to be him. He wasn't even drafted, right? Wasn't he undrafted, if I'm not mistaken?
I want to say that he was. But he actually had good he actually had good combine numbers from what they were really similar to Alex Max. So
Really?
it's
Interesting.
yeah, like they put him up on the somebody tweeted him out the other day, and I should have kept that tweet, but they they posted him next to each other, and he's actually even better than Mac in some spots. So but they were really close in measurables. So who knows? Honestly, who knows? We seem to always find guys off the scrap heap. Who would have thought Arden Key or any of those other guys would have been good? And they turned out to be world beaters. I mean, even Hyder, he got 8.5 sacks with us after having 2 career sacks before that.
No, so, it's true. It's true. And then he went to Seattle and did nothing, and now he's back, and now he'll get 5 to 6 sacks for us.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I mean, who knows? But I feel like Kyle could get Coach of the Year almost every year. It doesn't always show up in the standings, but he always finds ways to shine up, to find those diamonds in the rough, and I'm thoroughly excited to see in camp how Brendel actually does when they start practicing against other teams and that kind of stuff.
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. And I know it's still preseason when I say this, but I still want to see some preseason snaps, like you just said, how is he doing with other teams in practice and stuff like that. So yeah, right now it's quiet, but let's see, let's give it some time, and let's see here, because it could definitely be an issue for sure. Hopefully it won't.
Yeah. So how do you feel about what he was saying regarding Ayuk and Jennings? Because everybody seems to be talking a lot of good things about Jennings.
Yeah.
And I like Jennings. I've always liked Jennings. And I've been talking about Jennings since last year. And is he the fastest guy? No. But the guy is a physical, he's a tone setter. And that's what I like to call him. He's Ward called him just a football player, which usually is a really good compliment from another football player. So sure. I'm really excited for Jennings, but I know also that, and I've talked about it in the past, that I feel like Ayuk and Debo are your bookends, and then who the number 3 is all going to be dependent on the situation. Another guy that's had a good camp is Ray McLeod. Yep. They've said a lot of good things about him, which another thing I've talked about multiple times. They did not just bring this guy in to be a special teamer. Sure. They did not pay him what they paid him to be a special teamer. The kid, it's no coincidence that the kid used to be a running back in high school. Right. It's that Kyle looks at little things like that and it's like, oh no, bring that guy in.
Yep.
Let's see what we can.
You're absolutely right.
So how do you feel about what? Because Ayuk has had kind of mixed reviews. The reporters have been saying that he hasn't been really kind of taking advantage of the situation, but then Jennings just nothing but glowing reviews.
No, and that's exactly what I've been hearing too, and that's why I did want to. And I mentioned earlier that that camp battle it definitely has my attention, because I'm starting to get that feeling too, based on things that I've read. Like you just said and heard, whatever. About Ayuk, now it's just gonna be 2 camps in a row where, he kind of quote unquote goes into Kyle's, doghouse, as people were saying, and what's going on there? Because I agree with you. When you see it on paper and the talent, it should be Debo, Ayuk on the bookend. So I am interested to see, because I like Jennings a lot too. And a football player is a great definition of also what Kyle looks for in players. I think that's what he loves probably so much about George Kittle and Debo, because those 2 guys could also be described as football players. So wholeheartedly agree with you on that. So that's why I'm totally interested in what's going to happen in that battle. And I agree with you on the Ray McLeod stuff. I think special teams not only was a major focus of our offseason, from coaching to getting players. I also agree with you. I think we wanted his speed for a reason. Kyle will find little niches. Could it be reverse? Could it be certain type of passing plays? Now that we have a quarterback that can go a little deeper, again, sky could be the limit. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on both those takes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really interested in what that dynamic that Ray McLeod brings, because he just has a lot. If you watch his film, he just has a lot of shiftiness. He's not a burner, but the guy is he's got a lot. He's got a lot of wiggle, and not that Kyle likes wiggle a lot, but that is, if you get him in open space, that's where he can kill you, and it's going to be teams are going to get tired of chasing our guys around, and I
Right.
think that I think that's the point. So
Yeah.
but so back to Trey. Trey, like I said before, Trey seems to have a way with the media. Do you think that this is going to continue? Do you see any kind of, I mean, even especially when there's inevitably going to be some adversity. He's going to throw some picks or he's going to take a loss that he probably shouldn't have.
Right.
How do you see his way with the media right now? How do you see him reacting to that?
Based on what I've seen so far, I think he's going to have I think he's going to be fine. Listen, if I can take away one thing right now, it's like we have to put aside what we think talent wise, because we've talked about it enough. And I think we all know that we're expecting some pretty special things from him. For this kid only being 22 years old, the way you just mentioned, the way he kind of carries himself in front of the media, the way he answers questions, the way he dodged stuff about Grant Cohn and kind of like professionally went back with that. I've been impressed, to be honest with you. And I would even say that if he wasn't the 49ers quarterback and I wasn't a fan, you know what I mean? He seems to be, he just seems to have as people would say, like a good head on your shoulders, you know? And I think he seems to just kind of understand the situation. He knows what's going on. Now, I think that goes a testament to what's going on behind the scenes, meaning our front office. I think John and Kyle had made it clear it's his team. I think that helps the way he carries himself, the way he's going about things. So certainly, I think that has all to do with you wrap all that up, because you can't say he already had to deal with a little bit of adversity already since he's been drafted. You know, last year couldn't have been that easy. The constant, hey, what's going on this week? You know, Jimmy, you know what I'm saying? So I think he's learned a lot. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. And I think anything that comes his way adversity wise, I think he's going to be fine with it as far as answering questions and being professional about it.
Yeah, and you know what? To talk about how he handled it last year, I thought it was a masterful job by the 49ers organization by not allowing him to talk after games.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
They did not let the media touch him for the most part, and I thought it was a masterful job by them, because then he doesn't have to answer those stupid questions. They really kind of put it all on Jimmy. Jimmy was the one that had to deal with all of it, and while that might not have been fair for Jimmy. Honestly, what do we care? What do we care? He's gone. Like, so
right, it's true.
But what do you think of the comment because somebody asked Trey about did he think that he would see Jimmy? Did he want to see Jimmy in camp? And he made a comment. I don't know if you saw it or not, but he made a comment about how, hey, as soon as Jimmy's come on in, he can be my backup. I think it kind of flew under the radar, but I thought that it was such a funny comment, to make, especially in that situation. I think he, like you said earlier, I think he knows this is his team now.
Yep,
this is his team. Somebody's gonna come and pry it out of his cold, dead hands.
It's true. It's true. And he is, yeah.
But yeah, like that. So I don't know if you saw that comment or how you felt about him making jokes now, like you said with Grant Cohn. I thought that was great. He takes a different. He doesn't run away from the conflict with the reporters. They ask him a question, he goes right. He answers very directly, and that's, I think, with a guy like Grant, that's what you have to do. Yeah, okay, you want to ask me the question, then I'm going to make a joke out of your question.
Absolutely. It's the only way. No, I agree with you, like you said, and I know I did hear the comment. That's why I was laughing, and I thought it was a pretty. I don't know if I want to say it was like a nice little jab, but it was you know what I mean. But it kind of was like almost like if he's gonna be able to get any kind of comment in, that was the moment and the time to do it. You know what I mean? Like that was the perfect time to slide it in there. You know, so listen, I'm rooting for the kid. I think he's going to be good. And like, I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's interesting that he's been able to handle it so far this well. And, you know, I think he's going to be fine with it. He doesn't seem to right now. Nothing seems to rattle him as far as from the media standpoint. And that's a good thing. So I think he's going to be okay.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And so Charvarius, we talked about Charvarius Ward seems to be really impressed with Jennings. Do you think, oh no, we already talked about, is it going to be like, when we talked about having a fluid spot with Ray, and we didn't talk about Danny Gray. We didn't talk about Danny Gray being in the mix. He pulled a hammy already.
Yep.
People are making a big deal out of it. The reality is that the 49ers, more so than any other teams, Like they're going to make it so that if somebody chips a toenail, get off the practice field.
It's so true.
Get out of here. Like,
yep.
You stand over here right next to me until you're better. Like we're not playing with any injuries, and it's plain to me. It's not a big deal. Like any kind of tweak of anything, they're going to take him off the field. So I don't know how you felt about Danny Gray not being in mini camp.
No, I mean, like you said, I'm not going to freak out about it. I know how we handle the injuries too. 2020 is going to be like a franchise scar for life. So there's like no way to get around that. But no, I'm not really too concerned about it. It's way too early to be worried about that. But what I did want to comment though, I didn't necessarily mean to bring him up, but on the whole battle position with Jennings is where I'm kind of happy about it though, is because I do feel like the last couple of years or so, we've been kind of searching for like almost like that third receiver to kind of go along with like, we had Debo, okay, we have Kittle, and you know what I'm saying? Like, and you kind of know what I mean. And Ayuk was kind of creeping along, but kind of like just like that other guy that, that just could be involved in the offense and just be another option. And so I'm hoping now between Jennings, McLeod, and the rookie Gray, hopefully one of them can step up. And obviously right now it looks to be Jennings, but we'll see. But I did mean to mention that, so I'm glad we went back and talked about Jennings. I mean,
for sure. And I wanted to mention something else is that think back to when Kyle first got here. Mm-hmm. The cupboard was bare. Bare. I mean, the cupboard was bare. Mm-hmm. I mean, it couldn't have been more bare, especially on the wide receiver spot. Kevin Bourne was an undrafted guy that literally became wide receiver one almost de facto just because I mean, he was the only guy that could catch balls.
Yeah.
We were so, and for a couple, I want to say 2 or 3 years, we were so in search of wide receivers for this offense. And then it became about, we got a couple of guys, and then it became about Jimmy can't get him the ball. Now, like I feel like we finally have a group of guys. I feel like Kyle feels like, and I think this goes back to, we were talking about how Kyle's like kind of giddy right now, is that we finally have a group of guys. He can do anything that he wants to do. Any way y'all want to play it, I've got an answer. And I can't say it enough how excited I am for this season coming up. I just want us to get into this season healthy.
Yes, healthy number one. Like number one with like a bunch of exclamation marks after it.
Exactly.
Like, Mainry, just stay healthy, Niners, please.
Yeah, just so we can get in there and that Kyle can have his full complement of weapons and everything that it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. But so there, like we were talking about earlier, it was Grant Cohn reported that a few of the rookies were struggling.
Yeah.
Do you think this is an issue? Like, because he was talking about how Danny Gray wasn't on the field. He was talking about how Ty Davis-Price wasn't on the field. He was talking about how Drake Jackson was struggling. He was talking about, and he talked about a few other guys that weren't rookies, like Diamador Lenore and a couple, and there was and the other guy they brought in, Denard, was struggling.
Yeah, Denard.
Do you think that this is a big deal, or is it just practice?
No, I mean, listen, it's practice. Practice makes you better, So, but I don't want to make it a big deal because it's just so early on. But stuff to watch for sure. I think Lenore could be an interesting person that could eventually maybe be on the bubble outside looking in. Be honest, because Thomas is there already. We don't know if Verrett's going to come out of this camp healthy. If Verrett does, you have to imagine he makes the roster. And then I haven't brought up Womack, who's kind of been on the opposite end of the rookies. He's actually been looking good. Being one of the few nickel corners that's actually standing out in practices so far. Lenore, and he had his struggles last year as well. So I'm kind of already like, if you were to tell me right now, hey, pick a guy from last year's class that you might not make the roster, he would probably be the guy that I would pick. But past that, I mean, I'm not going to freak out too much, especially with the Jackson stuff. At the end of the day, some of these guys, listen, this is their first mini camp. Let's give them a chance to, come on, like get their. Now, if Gray comes back, tweaks his hammy again, all right, Peter. Now we got something like, what's going on here, Gray? But no, other than that, I think we're okay right now.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Like, I just feel like this is practice. We're talking about
Right.
OTAs and minicamp. It's these guys have got to get their feet wet. They're going into the NFL for the first time, and for most rookies, it's going to be hard. They're going up against grown men now. I don't know if you saw Abukam's interview today, but that man is just shredded.
Yeah, he looks big, doesn't he, man? And
I was like, wow.
And you mentioned it earlier with Bosa looks ridiculous too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he came on so late in the season last year. So did the guy from the Texans that we traded for the
Amenahu.
Yes. Yeah. I'm watching both of them because I think they're both gonna be like one of them's gonna be like our Arden Key this year. Watch. Gonna get like a little nice deal from somebody next year.
Yeah, my money is on Amenahu. But
that. I'm telling you.
But I mean they've also got I think Abukum they've said in the last couple of days Abukum has really been impressing right out the gate. So and then the other guy that's been really impressing is Teray. The other guy that they signed, they said that he's been beating everybody
from the guy
they put in front of him. Yeah, the guy from the Colts.
Yeah.
They said he's been beating everyone in front of him. So yeah, it's a good problem to have, when absolutely. You got so many guys. I think that this, and we talked about it earlier, the depth of this team is just really it's going to be hard for D'Amico he's going to send guys in waves. And it's just going to be, and I don't want to sound like a homer because, you want to talk about things that they definitely need to improve on, but the defensive line is not one of them.
It's not. It's not again, you don't want to sound like a homer, but it's one of those situations where you could bring them to the table as they have the best D line as an entire group in football. Now, I'm not saying right now, hey, they are, but they're one of the teams you're going to mention and bring to the table. So 100%, it's definitely a strength of the 49ers. You can't really argue it.
Yeah, for sure. And you talked about Womack earlier, and he absolutely has shown some good glimpses in this in these mini camps, and the other players have a couple of players talked about him. He hasn't given up any big plays, and he made a couple of really good plays on the ball. He didn't get the interception, but pass breakups, and that was his thing in college was pass breakups.
Yep.
I would like to see him kind of take the ball away. And I think that's going to be the part of his game that he really needs, that they should be working on with him, because if he has the instincts to be able to break up the ball, break up the pass, then the next level for him is going to be getting the takeaway. But I'll take the pass breakup.
Yeah,
I will take the pass breakup
all day.
So,
sure.
But back to Lenore, I absolutely think this guy could be on the bubble. And I really liked him coming out last season, and it was just weird. And it was weird the way he kind of just fell off the face of the earth mid-season. And the way I look at it, I almost look at him like Witherspoon, that used to be on our team.
Right.
And is this a confidence issue with Lenore? Is he going to be one of those guys that he needs to string together good plays to get his confidence up, so that way, and that makes him play. He feeds off of that. What do you think of that? Is that a possibility?
I mean, it's definitely certainly a possibility for sure. I think that may be play. It could be, but I think it's just going to be at the end. There might just be other guys in front of him that are just simply better, or that just a better fit, or just had better camp, So we're going to see, but yeah, no, it could certainly be that, but I think it's going to be a little bit more of the latter though when it's all said and done.
Yeah, for sure. And because they just have too many guys, there's too much depth there to be wasting your time with a project. It's going to be. I think that he's a prime candidate of one of those guys that maybe could go to another team and be a better fit for somebody else.
No, for sure. Yeah, practice squad guy bars were released, but it's kind of funny, or I don't know if it's ironic, but isn't it kind of nice to talk about the 49ers defense and actually have promising conversations about corners?
Oh my God.
And isn't that, it's been so long.
Yeah. Because at first I was thinking, okay, well, they're going to have two solid corners next season. Because I thought Ambry Thomas was growing into a solid corner. And then And then, of course, you got E-Man on the other side. I was like, okay, well, we got two solid corners to build in. We just got to fill in that slot position. Like, but then they get Javarius Ward, which automatically kind of just puts Ambry Thomas in kind of a limbo because people assume that E-Man's going to be that number 2 corner. But who knows? They might put E-Man in the slot if they don't like any of these other guys. But I think that they got Womack with and Denard to see if they could build a competition at that spot. And then if they don't like any of those guys, then I could see them looking to E-Man. And then you've got Verrett, who they can kind of – I mean, they shouldn't be expecting anything out of Verrett at all.
No.
But this is the thing. If he can somehow stay healthy and play on a sporadic basis, not depend on him for a whole bunch of snaps, almost be like on a snap count, then I could totally see him contributing and maybe even getting involved in that because he is physical. He's a physical corner. He likes to get up in guys' faces. And I think that's an underrated part of his game. And I think that he can play the slot too. So it just gives them a myriad of possibilities like I said before, it's just a great problem to have as opposed to years in the past where we were like, what are we going to do? Well, like what? I mean, we ended up bringing what's his name off the scrap heap and punch outs. He ended up being the thing.
Josh Norman.
Yeah, Josh Norman. Oh my God, I don't even want to speak that guy's name again. Let's stay away from
crazy.
that.
That's so crazy. And we were in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
it's wild. It's like
we had a losing record at the beginning of the season.
Coaching matters.
Coaching absolutely matters.
Absolutely.
Like, people sit there and talk about it's the player. No, not when the 49ers are concerned because they bring these guys in and they coach them up and they turn this. I don't want to gloss them up too much. Like,
I know what you mean.
I'm excited. I'm just really excited right now for the trajectory of this team, and it's gonna be crazy. Like, but Trent Williams, I want to talk about what Trent Williams said.
Yeah,
he had high praise for all of his fellow linemen, but he really talked about Brendel. And he talked about, they asked him a question about had he been talking to Debo and they asked him a lot of leadership questions. And it really begged the question, has he become a leader on this team? Because I feel like he's become a leader. Like he's an absolute vocal leader. We saw a little bit of him talking to last season with the guy that he's got out of sight, out of mind right now, but I can't think of his name. But our left guard last season,
Tomlinson.
Tomlinson. So they had a lot of videos last year of him like getting Tomlinson like ready to go.
Yeah, like hyped up. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just look at this guy. Do you think he's become a leader on this squad?
Oh, absolutely. And I was gonna say I think it started last year, not even just with the Tomlinson things, but leading out the whole entire team with Debo with the radio, and everything like that. Like it was him and Debo doing it. So absolutely, he's played with Kyle before. He wanted Niners with a team he wanted to play for. He wanted to all of those things. So absolutely, he's definitely the man on the offensive line. That's not even a question now.
Yeah.
And so absolutely, there's a lot of, I don't want to say younger guys, maybe some couple of new faces are going to be on the offensive line. So I think they look up to him. So yeah, I would say so. And as far as people he's talked about, you didn't mention my favorite camp guy that I haven't even mentioned yet is Poe. I'm loving me some Poe so far.
Yeah, that guy. So my thoughts on Poe. And right. I love the versatility, and I love that he can run routes and he can catch balls and all this stuff. But realistically speaking, he's 6 feet. He might be 5'11". He's listed at 6 feet.
Yeah.
So does he? I kind of pull back a little bit on the expectations for Poe, and I would love to see Kyle. And I think that's what Kyle sees him is that the guy I see a little bit of Ricard from the Ravens with him,
Okay.
like a really big fullback that can catch balls, and like, or even Delaney Walker, a really short tight end
Tight end.
that
Right.
that can block.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
yeah, that's what I see out of him, and because I don't think you can put a 5'11" or 6 foot guard or center out there on the line. I just don't think you can do it. But
No,
I might be wrong.
No, that's fair. It's just I just the things I've seen so far and like heard Trent talking about himself, I just have kind of gotten it early, like, oh, this guy seems like he's pretty cool. And then I saw him running that drill with Trent where, like one of the offensive linemen come off the line, another guy runs with him like with the pad, and Poe's like running almost toe to toe with Trent. And I'm like, yo, this guy really, like, he's got some wheels, because it still amazes me when Trent decides that he is and the way he moves. It's like, it's not normal, so
the guy is just a mammoth human being.
Really is.
it's really, and that he gets to move so quickly, and once he gets his hands on you, it's just, he makes grown men look like rag dolls. It's just it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, like and
but also the coolest at the same time.
Oh, for sure. I'm glad that he's on my team.
Exactly. Exactly.
But he made a comment about Aaron Donald getting his deal, and he was almost disappointed that he wasn't retiring, and he's like, "Oh, God, I just got to deal." I mean, he doesn't even match up with that guy that often.
Yeah.
But but I think I think he's just thinking about his offensive line teammates on that one. But so what do you project this O-line eventually looking like across the line?
I mean, honestly, I think it's going to kind of be, unless something really drastic happens, in my opinion, I think we're going to go with Trent Williams. And then I think our guards are going to be Brunskill and probably, I don't know if I want to say Banks or the other guy's name's escaping me.
Moore?
No, not Moore.
Brunskill. We got Brunskill. Which position?
For left guard.
For left guard, you've got Aaron Banks. You've got Moore. You've got Burford. There's Zakel. And then you've got Brunskill. No. Then there's the other guy that actually played tackle for, and I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, I know there's another name. I don't know why can't think of him.
But he played one game he actually spelled Trent Williams last year. And wow,
McKivitz?
Not Trent. McKivitz.
There we go.
Colton McKivitz.
But I would probably bank it's probably gonna be Williams, Banks, Brunskill. I think it's gonna end up being Brendel, and hopefully McGlinchey's healthy. I think it's what's gonna end up being. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of surprises. And I think that's what we're gonna roll with, and then we'll see. That's why I think we kind of drafted the way we did. We have a little bit of depth behind the line if we need to. Brunskill might have to slide into center if Brendel's really that bad. Maybe that will spill a couple of weeks, But I think it's going to end up being that 5 that probably ends up making it.
Yeah, and I kind of see it similar. I mean, I've got Aaron Banks at left guard, of course, Trent Williams left tackle. I guess we're going with Brendel at center, and then for the right guard, I think that one's the one where we're wide open, and I think that a lot of people are expecting Moore to take that or Brunskill to automatically be there, but I think Moore might be in the mix, and then I think that your right tackle, I think they're expecting McGlinchey to be there, but don't be surprised if we see a Burford end up in that spot if McGlinchey can't go, because they said that he's on track, right? They said McGlinchey's on track to go right now, to be good for training camp. But if there's any kind of setback they're going to have to fill that spot. And I don't think that they liked what they saw out of Moore at that spot last season.
I could see that. He was a little
So
tackle.
So I look at Burford, who is athletic, and he has these long arms. He's not that big, but he's really strong. Now, granted, we're talking about really strong against like not great competition in college, but
yeah,
I still he has the nasty disposition to be good in the running game. So I think that might be an option. But yeah, the offensive line, we keep thinking that I keep assuming that it's going to be a weakness, but I thought it was going to be a weakness last year, and we somehow made it through the whole season like with one of the best line. We had a top 5 offensive line in the league. Yeah. So what do I know? Like I'm just here reporting. But
no, it's true. It's like we mentioned earlier. I think having a player like Trent Williams just helps a lot. I don't want to say it masks a lot of your problems because I don't think that, but you know what I mean? I just think having a talent like him and a guy that can really he just blocks that one side of the field like no problem, and he gets up the field so quickly and he's blocking the other guys sometimes as you're coming off of your first block still. So it's just so I think that helps a lot. And like I've always said, and like we said, Kyle seems to have an idea of what he likes and who's looking for in his linemen. And so if he thinks, Brendel or possibly West, if that undrafted guy steps up or these other guys at guard or can do it or quick enough to do it, then like you said earlier, trust in Kyle.
Yeah, just trust in Kyle. I mean, it's he hasn't steered. In my opinion, he hasn't steered us wrong so far. Yeah, the one season, the COVID year where everybody was hurt, but for the most part, we've gotten better every single season. And I know a lot of people question John Lynch, but he's another guy that I just think that more often than not, they do the right things to make this team better. They've been in a better position, in my opinion, every single season. And even the COVID year that everybody was hurt, everybody had reason to believe that we were a better team than we were in 2019. And especially having Kinlaw come in and like that and that kind of stuff, we had some promise. We were looking to a couple of guys to see if they were going to be better. And I just look at it that way. But did you see the that Trey has had he's thrown for so far in the camp and OTAs, he's thrown for like 76% of his passes.
Yep. I saw it. It's like 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Yeah. And they said he's been hitting deep passes, like no problem, hitting guys in stride, and which really was a question in from last year was could he hit guys in stride or was he just going to be this cannon arm guy that just throws the ball out there? I think he's answering. I think, and we'll know more once the bullets start flying. But it's really starting to look good, and I'm really excited for it. I don't know. Did you see any of that? How did you feel about his throws? Or about his throwing motion? Everybody's talking about his throwing motion too. So
and that's actually what I was going to bring up. So the touch on what you said. I've heard the same things. The deep ball stuff is there. I heard he hit one of the backup tight ends, and the guy made a really nice catch, like a one-handed catch. It was like over the middle. I've heard the same things. But what I was going to mention, what you just said, the motion. So I saw a video from today. It was just the quarterbacks warming up. Nothing crazy. Nothing had really started yet. And Peter, he was first of all, his arm motion looked great. And he was like, it looked so effort. And it was like going like literally almost to the whole other side of the field. And it looked like he was just like a flick of the wrist. And I was just like, like this kid, it's kind of like what you're saying. It's like, I'm just like, I want to push the button, like the green button, like open that gate and just let him run. Just let him go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so ready for it because it's like, whatever's going to happen, like I'm ready to see it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like let's go, but no, I think, again, goes back to what we mentioned about Kyle. I think this is why Kyle is in the mood that he's in. Cause I think he can finally really get to those last couple of pages in his book that he never could even look at. He's like, but now I got my guy. Now I got this guy that I can really finally go into my playbook and say, you know what, guys, good luck.
Yeah. And good luck. I will tell you, if you play any Madden, Trey Lance is a beast on the game. Just to let you know.
He is.
Like that kid is, I mean, his rating isn't that high, but he's a beast on the game. So not that translates into the league all the time, but man, but I would say the one thing that we were talking about last season with him was that he tended to float balls.
Yes.
Like he would throw too hard to short guys, and then he would float balls.
Yep.
And we haven't heard not one thing about him floating balls or overthrowing receivers or just throwing bullet passes through guys.
Even throwing too hard.
Exactly. Like we haven't heard anything relating to that. So I think that is a tremendous sign. I don't know if they told people don't talk about it or whatever the case is, right. but Grant can't wait to report something negative. Course. So like if it was happening, we would have found out about it by now.
No,
so I think it's tremendous that we haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me, one of his interceptions thrown supposedly was a perfectly thrown ball that was right in the chest of Ayuk, and he just happened to drop it. But the person was saying that it was not your typical like bullet pass that you would have like typically thrown. Like it was a nice throw, but it just happened to be still right on the money. So kind of goes what you're saying. Sure. Maybe he is just getting better, which is what hopefully he should be doing.
Exactly. And so we're saying all this to say, does this offseason really feel, and we talked about it a little bit, but what does this offseason really feel different to you? And does it feel as if we're entering a new 49er era? Are they ready for the next step? Because in my opinion, I have the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up, and I have this inkling that this is about to be the start of a new 49er era. Like and I think that we're about to see something really special. I don't know how you felt about it. I'll get your take on it first.
No, I kind of alluded to it earlier when I had mentioned in some ways, we are kind of starting a new era. We have a new quarterback, we have a new leader. There are a couple of new faces, but we have some familiar faces that have been around, have kind of gone through our ups and downs that we all have gone through. And here we are. And so absolutely, I think we are at a point where this is a new time. I think we made a very strong focus this offseason to say, okay, listen, where are some areas that we right away, we know we're weak at, like special teams being an example. Right away went out, we got the coach, got the players and things like that. And, we even approached the draft kind of the same way. We were able to draft a lot of things for just some players that not necessarily so much always for need, but just things for backup, for depth, for, in case maybe this guy goes down or, things like that. So when you can start doing things like that, you're at that spot in your time with your team where it's like, you're ready to go. You just need maybe those couple little final pieces to add in, get that depth, because obviously football, it's a long grinding season. You want the depth and things like that. But no, absolutely. I think we are at a point where it just feels like something new is about to happen. We had, like you mentioned, the couple first 2 years of Kyle, the rebuilding years. We kind of had our Jimmy run. I think we got out of it what we could. We got the Super Bowl, an NFC game. We had some great moments, but it's number 5. It's his chapter now. It's his era now. It's his time. And what comes of it, we're going to see. But I wholeheartedly agree with you that I think this is we're entering a new time, a new phase, and I'm completely ready for it as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with everything you said. It almost felt like over these last few years with Kyle that he was coaching, he had to coach us to those spots, to the NFC Championship game. Right. We were always overachieving. It felt like we were always overachieving. And when in 2020, I think when we fell so hard because of the injuries, I think it was something that people almost expected because they didn't think that we belonged in 2019. And because of the Jimmy Garoppolo piece, I think that they fully expected us to fall on our face. And it just happened to be that we had a record number of injuries and we ended up going down. But then the next season, these guys came back with a vengeance, and we had a new defensive coordinator who brought some new ideas. And now we have this core that are all signed, about to be all signed, and except for Bosa, who will be signed next season. But we've got a brand new, like, just wonderkind of a quarterback that is going to be, that I feel is going to bring a freshness, and it just be a breath of fresh air on this offense, and the offense can finally be a reason that we win instead of just the defense. And I think that I think that people could be talking about the 49ers, and I know that this is going to be a bold statement and I'm putting it on YouTube right now, but I think they could be talking about the 49ers like people talk about the Chiefs when not to compare him to Mahomes, but I'm talking about the offense as a whole. The offense as a whole, when you include the running game and these dynamic weapons that they have on this team, I think that they could be talking about this offense as a whole like that people talked about the Chiefs offense when they first started hitting their stride with Patrick Mahomes. So I think it's a special time. And I think that everybody needs to enjoy it, because I have a feeling they're going to hit the ground running with barring any setbacks or stupid injuries that happen. But I think that this team, we've gone through all the stress and strife over the last 4 or 5 years to get to this point. And this is the time that we thought we were there, but in reality we were overachieving. We probably shouldn't have been there. Now we're ready. And now I think that we're ready for anything that anybody can dish out, and I'm here for it.
No, I totally agree with you. You made a comment where you said, maybe we can start winning games, because of our offense that are just our defense. And I want to start I agree with you on that, because I want teams to start talking about our offense, not just some of our players on our offense. I want them to say, oh, the 49ers offense is coming in this week. Not just, oh, we got Debo coming in or we got Kittle, no. Look, you got the Niners offense coming this week. The whole shebang. Lance is coming, the running game's here. The passing, we go in power game this week. We go in zone running. What are we doing this week? I don't know, because you got that and you got the defense on the other side. So that was a good way to put it. And that's where I think, and kind of like you said, maybe we did overachieve a little bit. And now it's we've gotten to this point where all those battles, like you said, are going to have us more prepared to hopefully ride this out for a nice little 5-year dynasty of just, a couple Super Bowls. Oh, my
God.
Give me at least number 6, and then we can talk.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I want. I'm 44 years old. I'm ready to stop being the bridesmaid, and I'm ready to take the monkey off the back like Steve Young back in the day and get this win. So,
Peter, man, and I hope, and I'm not saying that he's not, but in some ways, man, because I think we both like Kyle a lot. But
I do,
and I do too. And I hope he's ready to get that offense back, because it's time. Like you just said, you have all your tools, you have all your toys, you got your guy at quarterback.
Yeah. There are no excuses.
Kyle. Right. There's not.
There is no excuses now.
Man. So let's, like you said, let's sit back and enjoy it as fans, but no, we're behind you. But yeah, let's do it. If we're gonna do it, let's do it, because it's right now. It's right in front of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, but thanks, Snoogans, for coming on today. I really appreciate having you on. It was a great time, great talk. We had some technical issues for a second, but we got those all straightened out. But it was great talk. It was great talking to you, bro. And once again, why don't you tell the people where they can find you on the socials one more time so that they can add you?
Absolutely, yeah. You can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm definitely the most active, at Snoogans2434.
For sure. And I did want to make a comment about the there was some things going on Twitter, for as far people were talking about the different 49ers content creators. And as I was going down the list and we were talking, we were bringing up he was asking who to bring on his show. And we thinking about all the great 49er content creators. I want to make sure we give our community some kudos. There is no better community. People talk about 49ers Twitter like it's so toxic and all the other stuff all the time, but rarely do we hear the good part. And the content creation community for 49er Twitter and for 49ers in general is unmatched, in my opinion. We have so many really smart and intelligent and like just in the know people that it's a wealth of riches. And I just want to really make sure that all the content creators for the 49ers out there, you guys get your due. I hope everybody gets a chance to watch this and gets a thank you from me, because I know that I've reached out to a bunch of you and I've had a bunch of you on my show a bunch of times. But I really appreciate you guys. I wanted to get that out there because that kind of touched my heart the other day. But with that being said, you can find, of course, if wherever you're watching this, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Facebook, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube page. Please give me a like, slam the like button. Please give me a subscribe, hit the notification so that you know when I'm going to go on air. Also, if you absolutely can't watch it on YouTube, I also have you can also reach out and look at the audio or listen to the audio version on Anchor. I'm on all of the places where you can get your podcast. So there is no excuse for not listening.
You can find it, guys.
You can find me. You can find me if you have Google, or any other search engine. So reach out and let me know if there's something you want to see on the show. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks again to Snoogans for coming on, but I will see you guys next week, and always go Niners.
Go Niners. Better, everybody.